Yeah, and let's talk about one of the major players in the Black Sea region that is at the middle and the crossroads of a lot of the EU NATO issues as far as the rest of the world goes. Let's talk about Turkey for a minute. You wrote about it recently. We'll link to this piece as well. But the Western media, especially American media, does a horrible job of covering Turkey. It's I'm trying to think of a way to explain this in a sentence or two because it's kind of hard because Turkey's very complicated. But traditionally, the Turks, going all the way back to the Ottomans, their theory of the world is put ourselves in the middle of everything and then go from there. The problem is the Erdogan Turkey theory on everything is put ourselves in the middle of everything and go from there. And they're in the middle of everything and they go from there, good, bad, or indifferent. They like things to go through them and they like to be a power broker. And the reality of it is, geographically, they're at the center of this. NATO, they like to play both sides against the middle. EU, they like to play both sides against the middle. This is just the reality, but that also means if you're going to have transactional leadership like a Donald Trump administration, Erdogan's going to have to get something for him to do other things. But the EU needs him. NATO needs him. We tend to just cover them like they're a normal EU country, or if it suits people, they'll cover them as a Middle Eastern country. They're neither. They're Turkey. They're unique, and you have to address them as such and understand their position to really understand why all roads on a lot of this stuff in some way, shape, form, or fashion is going to run through Turkey.
I will start by paraphrasing one of my favorite political leaders of all time, Margaret Thatcher, by saying that when you are in the middle, of course, it creates a lot of opportunity, especially for a middle power like Turkey. But being in the middle also means that you are most exposed to get kicked both from the left and from the right. And I think with Turkey's poor economic status right now, this clearly shows that. But as you already mentioned, their hedging in the foreign policy arena is very intimately connected to their history and to their cultural identity of being this bridge between the East and the West, between Europe and Asia, which geographically it stands. I am particularly sad of the fact that Turkey's road to the European Union didn't materialize. I would think that at least from a foreign and security policy perspective, they would have a lot to put on the table. They have a very strong military power, manpower, capabilities, I would say even technologically relevant capabilities that the European Union might use. Luckily, for us, but also I think for them, and this might also come as no surprise given the fact that EU is trying to build some insurances on the potential US disengagement from Europe. And this can mean many things. It can mean just withdrawing some troops, being more politically ignorant towards the EU security needs and so on. We have seen Turkey actually join the SAFE instrument of the European Commission, which means that Turkey will cooperate with the European Union in terms of buying more equipment together. And from that, I would say that there is an opportunity right now to include Turkey, which is the maritime security power in the region that is more closely aligned to the Euro-Atlantic values than all the others that maybe not necessarily have such a good military might and have some deficiencies, and we have to see them as they are, including my own country. We have this new European Union strategic approach for the Black Sea. And among those objectives, we have the creation of the EU Maritime Security Hub that Romania aspires to host. It's unclear what will be the exact tasks of this Maritime Security Hub, but I'm expecting activities in the field of intelligence sharing, coordinating ourselves better for policing that maritime region, but also harmonizing some of our standards for creating more interconnectivity projects. So not only about the maritime domain, but I would see, and I would argue that the Romanian president should be, again, entrepreneurial and say that if Romania were to host this hub, and I think it totally deserves, on the virtue that Romania was the country that advocated in Brussels for a EU strategy for the Black Sea region, that if it will become the host country, it will invite Turkish experts to come in this hub and to participate in the activities of this hub. And not only them, but also Ukraine, because Ukraine at this point has made so much for the Black Sea security agenda. And by remembering how the Ukraine missiles and drone strikes severely damaged Russia's Black Sea fleet, I think that it's just that alone is a reason to invite them as EU candidate countries to be part of this hub. I think that we have seen Turkey for a long time being very skeptical towards a Euro-Atlantic presence in the Black Sea region. They are positioned well, not only in the geography dimension of the conversation, but also they have the Montreux Convention that gives them power over the straits, and they have exercised it during this war by closing the straits for the military ships. And they really have this skepticism of transforming the Black Sea into a Euro-Atlantic field. But I think that right now, with the Russian threat that is so persistent, coupled with the possible US disengagement from the region, the sound alternative is to create a regional security community in the Black Sea region. And we have the demining initiative that it's online since last year, with Bulgaria and Romania and Turkey working together to demine the Black Sea. And that is in itself a victory, but I think we should build more momentum on that and increase our own self-sufficiency, our own deterrence capabilities when it comes to a common threat that we see now very clear, which is Russia, and work more together in the region. Because I think this is also something that would show not only to our citizens, but to our adversaries and allies alike, that the value of this region is seen by the players in the region first, and then it's augmented by the presence of like-minded nations that I hope will join in protecting the Black Sea region.